Day 65, Desert Wanderings, Numbers 16, Deuteronomy 15 through 16, Psalm 96. Let's begin. Numbers 16. Then, behold, Korah the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, with Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and also on the son of Peleth, of the sons of Reuben, rose up against Moses, with 250 others of the sons of Israel, leading men of the assembly, and who, at the time of a council, would be called by name. And when they had stood against Moses and Aaron, they said, Let it be sufficient for you that the entire multitude is of holy ones, and that the Lord is among them. Why do you elevate yourselves above the people of the Lord? When Moses had heard this, he fell prone on his face. And speaking to Korah, and to the entire multitude, he said, In the morning, the Lord will cause it to be known who belongs to him, and which holy ones he will join to himself. And whomever he will choose, they shall be close to him. Therefore, do this, each one of you, Korah and all your associates, take your censer. And drawing fire into it tomorrow, place incense upon it before the Lord. And whomever he will choose, the same shall be holy. You sons of Levi have been raised up greatly. And he said again to Korah, Listen, sons of Levi. Is it a small thing to you, that the God of Israel has separated you from all the people, and has joined you to himself, so that you would serve him in the rituals of the tabernacle, and stand before gatherings of the people, and minister to him? Was the reason that he caused you and all your brothers, the sons of Levi, to approach him, so that you would even claim for yourselves the priesthood too? And so that your entire group would stand against the Lord? For what is Aaron that you should murmur against him? Therefore, Moses sent to call for Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, who responded, We will not come. Is it a small matter to you, that you have led us away from a land that was flowing with milk and honey, so as to kill us in the desert, unless you could also be a ruler over us? You have led us, it is true, to a land that flows with streams of milk and honey, and you have given us possession of fields and vineyards. But will you also tear out our eyes? We will not come. And Moses, being very angry, said to the Lord, Do not look with favor on their sacrifices. You know that I have not accepted from them, at any time, so much as a young donkey, nor have I afflicted any of them. And he said to Korah, You and your congregation, stand alone before the Lord, and apart from Aaron, tomorrow. Let each one of you take censers, and place incense in them, offering to the Lord 250 censers. Let Aaron also hold his censer. When they had done this, Moses and Aaron stood up. And, having crowded the entire multitude close to them at the door of the tabernacle, the glory of the Lord appeared to them all. And the Lord, speaking to Moses and Aaron, said, Separate yourselves from the midst of this congregation, so that I may suddenly destroy them. But they fell prone on their faces, and they said, O most strong one, the God of the spirits of all flesh, should your anger rage against all, for the sin of one? And the Lord said to Moses, Instruct the entire people to separate from the tents of Korah, and Dathan, and Abiram. And Moses rose up and went to Dathan and Abiram. And the elders of Israel followed him. And he said to the crowd, Withdraw from the tabernacles of these impious men, and touch nothing which pertains to them, lest you become involved in their sins. And when they had withdrawn from their tents all around, Dathan and Abiram came out and stood at the entrance of their pavilions, with their wives and children, and with all their associates. And Moses said, By this shall you know that the Lord has sent me to do all that you discern, and that I have not brought these things out of my own heart. If these men pass away by the common death of men, or if they will be visited by a scourge, of a kind by which others are often visited, then the Lord did not send me. But if the Lord accomplishes something new, so that the earth opens its mouth and swallows them whole, along with everything that belongs to them, and they descend alive into the underworld, then you shall know that they have blasphemed the Lord. Therefore, as soon as he had ceased to speak, the earth broke open under their feet. And opening its mouth, it devoured them with their tabernacles and their entire substance. And they descended alive, the ground closing around them, into the underworld, and they perished from the midst of the multitude. Yet truly, all of Israel, which was standing all around, took flight at the clamor of those who were perishing, saying, "Lest perhaps the earth may swallow us whole also." Then, too, a fire, going forth from the Lord, put to death the 250 men who were offering the incense. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Instruct Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, to take up the censers which lie in the burning, and to scatter the fire to one side and another, because they were sanctified in the deaths of these sinners. And let him form them into plates, and affix them to the altar, because incense had been offered in them to the Lord, and they were sanctified, and so that the sons of Israel may discern in them a sign and a memorial." Therefore, Eleazar the priest took the bronze censers, by which those whom the burning devoured had made an offering, and he formed them into plates, affixing them to the altar, so that the sons of Israel would have, thereafter, something to admonish them, lest any stranger, or anyone who is not of the offspring of Aaron, might approach to offer incense to the Lord, and lest he endure what happened to Korah, and to all his congregation, when the Lord spoke to Moses. Then, the following day, the entire multitude of the sons of Israel murmured against Moses and Aaron, saying, "You have put to death the people of the Lord." And when there arose a sedition, and the tumult increased, Moses and Aaron fled to the tabernacle of the covenant. But after they had entered it, the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord appeared. And the Lord said to Moses, "Withdraw from the midst of this multitude, and I will destroy them immediately." And while they were lying on the ground, Moses said to Aaron, "Take the censer, and draw fire into it from the altar, place incense upon it, and continue on, quickly, to the people, to pray for them. For already wrath has gone forth from the Lord, and the scourge rages." When Aaron had done this, and he had run into the midst of the multitude, which the burning fire was now destroying, he offered the incense. And standing between the dead and the living, he prayed for the people, and the scourge ceased. But the number of those who were struck down was 14,000 men, and 700, aside from those who had perished in the sedition of Korah. And Aaron returned to Moses at the door of the tabernacle of the covenant, after the destruction quieted. Deuteronomy 15:16. In the 7th year, you shall perform a remission, which shall be celebrated according to this order. Anyone to whom anything is owed, by his friend or neighbor or brother, will not be able to request its return, because it is the year of remission of the Lord. From the sojourner and the new arrival, you may require its return. From your fellow countryman and neighbor, you will not have the power to request its return. And there shall not be anyone indigent or begging among you, so that the Lord your God may bless you in the land which he will deliver to you as a possession. But only if you heed the voice of the Lord your God, and keep to all that he has ordered, that which I am entrusting to you this day, will he bless you, just as he has promised. You shall lend money to many nations, and you yourselves shall borrow and return from no one. You shall rule over very many nations, and no one shall rule over you. If one of your brothers, who dwells within the gates of your city, in the land which the Lord your God will give to you, falls into poverty, you shall not harden your heart, nor tighten your hand. Instead, you shall open your hand to the poor, and you shall lend to him whatever you perceive him to need. Take care, lest perhaps an impious thought might creep within you, and you might say in your heart, "The 7th year of remission approaches." And so you might turn your eyes away from your poor brother, unwilling to lend to him what he has asked. If so, then he may cry out against you to the Lord, and it will be a sin for you. Instead, you shall give to him. Neither shall you do anything craftily while assisting him in his needs, so that the Lord your God may bless you, at all times and in all things to which you will put your hand. The poor will not be absent from the land of your habitation. For this reason, I instruct you to open your hand to your indigent and poor brother, who lives among you in the land. When your brother, a Hebrew man or a Hebrew woman, has been sold to you, and has served you for 6 years, in the 7th year you shall set him free. And when you grant his freedom, you shall by no means permit him to go away empty. Instead, you shall give to him, for his journey, from your flocks and threshing floor and winepress, with which the Lord your God has blessed you. Remember that you yourself also served in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God set you free. And therefore I now command this of you. But if he will say, I am not willing to depart, because he loves you and your household, and because he feels that it would be good for him to stay with you, then you shall take an awl and pierce his ear, at the door of your house. And he shall serve you even forever. You shall also act similarly toward your woman servant. You should not avert your eyes from them when you set them free, because he has served you for 6 years, in a manner deserving of the pay of a hired hand. So may the Lord your God bless you in all the works that you do. Of the firstborn, those born from your herds and sheep, you shall sanctify to the Lord your God whatever is of the male sex. You shall not put the firstborn of the oxen to work, nor shall you shear the firstborn of the sheep. In the sight of the Lord your God, you shall eat these each year, in the place which the Lord will choose, you and your household. But if it has a blemish, or is lame, or is blind, or if it is in any part deformed or debilitated, it shall not be immolated to the Lord your God. Instead, you shall eat it within the gates of your city. The clean as well as the unclean alike shall feed on these, such as the roe deer and the stag. This alone shall you observe, that you do not eat their blood, but pour it upon the ground like water. Observe the month of new grain, at the beginning of springtime, so that you may accomplish the Passover to the Lord your God. For in this month, the Lord your God led you away from Egypt in the night. And you shall immolate the Passover to the Lord your God, from sheep and from oxen, in the place which the Lord your God will choose, so that his name may dwell there. You shall not eat it with leavened bread. For 7 days you shall eat, without leaven, the bread of affliction. For you departed from Egypt in fear. So may you remember the day of your departure from Egypt, throughout all the days of your life. No leaven shall be present in all your confines for 7 days. And by morning, there shall not remain any of the flesh which was immolated on the first day in the evening. You cannot immolate the Passover in any of your cities, which the Lord your God will give to you, that you wish. But only in the place which the Lord your God will choose, so that his name may dwell there. You shall immolate the Passover in the evening, upon the setting of the sun, which is the time when you departed from Egypt. And you shall cook and eat it in the place which the Lord your God will choose, and rising up in the morning, you shall go into your tent. For 6 days you shall eat unleavened bread. And on the 7th day, because it is the assembly of the Lord your God, you shall do no work. You shall number for yourself 7 weeks from that day, the day on which you put the sickle to the grain field. And you shall celebrate the Feast of Weeks, to the Lord your God, with a voluntary oblation from your hand, which you shall offer according to the blessing of the Lord your God. And you shall feast in the sight of the Lord your God, you, your son and your daughter, your manservant and your womanservant, and the Levite who is within your gates, and the new arrival as well as the orphan and the widow, who abide with you, in the place which the Lord your God will choose, so that his name may dwell there. And you shall recall that you were a servant in Egypt. And you shall preserve and carry out the things that have been instructed. Likewise, you shall celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days, when you will have gathered your fruits from the orchard and the winepress. And you shall feast at the time of your festival, you, your son and daughter, your manservant and womanservant, likewise the Levite and the new arrival, the orphan and the widow, who are within your gates. For 7 days you shall celebrate feasts to the Lord your God in the place which the Lord will choose. And the Lord your God will bless you in all your crops, and in every work of your hands. And you shall be joyful. 3 times a year, all your males shall appear in the sight the Lord your God in the place which he will choose, at the Feast of Unleavened Bread, at the Feast of Weeks, and at the Feast of Tabernacles. No one shall appear before the Lord empty. But each one shall offer according to what he will have, according to the blessing of the Lord his God, which he will give to him. You shall appoint judges and magistrates at all your gates, which the Lord your God will give to you, throughout each of your tribes, so that they may judge the people with a just judgment. And not so as to show favoritism to either side. You shall not accept a person's reputation, nor gifts. For gifts blind the eyes of the wise and alter the words of the just. You shall justly pursue what is just, so that you may live and possess the land, which the Lord your God will give to you. You shall not plant a sacred grove, nor shall you plant any tree near the altar of the Lord your God. You shall either make nor set up for yourself a statue. These things the Lord your God hates. Psalm 96. This is to David, when his land was restored to him. The Lord has reigned, let the earth exult. Let the many islands rejoice. Clouds and mist are all around him. Justice and judgment are corrections from his throne. A fire will precede him, and it will enflame his enemies all around. His lightnings have enlightened the whole world. The earth saw, and it was shaken. The mountains flowed like wax before the face of the Lord, before the face of the Lord of all the earth. The heavens announced his justice, and all peoples saw his glory. May all those who adore graven images be confounded, along with those who glory in their false images. All you his angels, adore him. Zion heard, and was glad. And the daughters of Judah exulted because of your judgments, O Lord. For you are the most high Lord over all the earth. You are greatly exalted above all gods. You who love the Lord hate evil. The Lord watches over the souls of his holy ones. He will free them from the hand of the sinner. The light has risen for the just, and joy for the upright of heart. Rejoice in the Lord, you just ones, and confess to the memory of his sanctuary.